Greetings, listeners, and welcome to The Spiritual Experience, a show where we share stories of life, love, and redemption for all of humanity on Earth. So sit back and enjoy. Try to identify with the speakers and not compare. Don't forget to subscribe on all podcast platforms. I'm your host, Jay Lewis, and here we go. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back, Spiritual Experience. It's freaking Monday. What is this? April 4th. Yeah, man, what a weekend. Crazy, huh? Madness. A lot of stuff going on. People are still reeling from, last week. Well, number one, last week I want to thank really Brandy for coming on the show. We had such a good time, man. I haven't seen that girl like fucking, I don't know. Jeez, since I was 20 years old. So like 23 years maybe. Maybe younger, maybe 25 years I haven't seen that girl, man. She's doing awesome. She got a great story. And, we want to support all of that. Yeah, she's killing it, man. It's the ladies of the 80s, all of that stuff. It's great, man. It's great. And she's a really good singer, and she's got a kid that she wants to get into one of these high schools or something because he's a performing arts guy, which is cool. And, all last week, everybody going crazy with Will Smith, right, slapping Chris Rock, So that was like brewing. And then we wake up today, and what's going on? The whole Wokistan is going nuts because Louis C.K. won a Grammy. He won a Grammy. I have to laugh at the hypocrisy. It's fucking hilarious. And then, it's just hilarious. It's hilarious to me that people are surprised. And on either side. On fucking either side. People are surprised. It's so nuts. On Saturday, I was hanging out with my cousin Mondo and Selena and her man, Rodney. That's his name. I didn't want to forget his name because I really fucking like him. I really like him, Me and my old lady, we were like, had a little tiff or whatever. And I think that stuff is normal. And it's okay. She was angry for whatever reason. I don't even really know, but I just tried not to make it worse. And even if I did, I just try to say sorry. What do you want me to do? I mean, this is life. This is what, it's all going to be okay. For me to, for humans to expect, complete rationality from other humans at all freaking times, you're really asking a lot, There are people that have these pressures that are under all this stuff that we don't even know what's going on. And especially if they're your partner or whatever, it's like in your real life. So I went up to, it wasn't because of that, but I was going up to my cousin's house in the Bronx. We played dominoes, we played spades. I got fucked. Bro, I got my ass lit on fire playing dominoes, man. Like 2 games in a row. It was horrible. It was horrible. I don't even want to talk about it. They're not going to let me live it down. It was really bad. Yeah, hold on. But I redeemed myself playing spades. Me and my cousin Mondo, we smoked him. He was winning everything all night. He won dominoes and spades, and he was getting tipsy. Yeah, he was tipping them back, tipping them folks. And, he was drinking and he was getting better as he was drinking. I yelled at him one time over a couple of books, and even my cousin was like, yo, I've never even seen you get mad like that. Dude, spades, I'm crazy with. Dominoes is like, okay, I'm not, there's so many things that can happen. But in a spade game, there's limitations. There's always going to be limitations. And that's that. So it was cool. And yo, bro, he had his Dominican girl there, and that was nice too. You know, it was funny watching him trying to, plant some seeds for a sleepover. And he's like, he's an older gentleman. He just retired from one of his 2 jobs. He's my favorite cousin. Everybody's my favorite for different reasons, but he's one of my favorites. He's one of my first cousins, and I love him so much. He always sends me home with those butter crunch cookies for my girl that he gets, and she loves them, and she's very thankful. She really appreciates them. So we're sitting there, we're playing cards, right? And then Rodney's like, yo, he looks at me, he's like, yo, Jay, what do you think about the slap? And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, that was a slap, man. It was wild. It was crazy. It was wild. I got a couple of opinions on it. Number one, bro, he's all the way wrong. And that's it. And I know because I have been all the way wrong before. As a human, I've definitely lost my temper and lost my composure and everything at the wrong time. That's definitely happened to me in my life. Many, many, many times, with or without being under the influence. I'm sure his anxiety has been riding high. I don't know. I don't like hate Will Smith. I'm like a little bit indifferent. There's nothing that I saw him in that I was like, oh my God, I loved him in that. Well, Independence Day, yeah. What else? The Ali movie I didn't really like. I thought it was like a caricature of Ali, and people like, oh my God, Ali. I'm like, shut up, bro. Ali was like the real deal, a real competitor, a real whatever, he was real. Will Smith was not real. He's not. And apparently he's been according to him, he's been bending to the will. Will has been bending to the will of that whole society, that whole super Hollywood, liberal, lefty. But it's so crazy because they're supposed to be super liberal, but they're very freaking abusive. Right? Nobody comes out of there talking about, like, wow, everybody was so nice to me. Nobody tried to disrespect me. Everybody tried to help me. None of that. People in Hollywood, they always got to, people of color always got to be fighting for equal rights, gay, lesbian, LGBTQ plus, whatever. They're always like, yo, we're getting the short end of the stick. So I'm like, where's all the liberalism over there that's allegedly over there? It's freaking not there. Or it's like a facade. The liberalism, the ultra-liberalism is like a facade. Which I think that's maybe what it is. I think that's maybe what it is. Because the other guy, I don't know who it was. What was that guy that grabbed Terry Crews by his balls or something in front of his wife? Dude, are you crazy? Like, that's like crazy to be subjected to that kind of abuse. So allegedly, Will has been taking that abuse his whole life. And his whole life, he's been in Hollywood. He hasn't been in the street and all these other things. And he's taken all of the millions of dollars and everything and all the accolades and all the fame. It's not that he was getting abused for nothing. Chris Rock, similar story, right? Apparently he's been, he's one of however many. I don't know. Tony Rock went on YouTube a day or so after and was like, dude, I can't believe that you slapped my brother or you hit my brother because your bitch gave you the side eye. He's like, it's on. There's 10 of us. I was like, oh, shit. I didn't even know there was 10 rocks. Apparently there's 10 rocks. And according to Chris, he's getting bullied his whole life. And you can tell he kind of wanted to do something instinctively and he just didn't. Like, he took the slap and whatever. So, leading up to that, I guess the stage is set. And especially, listen, and this is what I told Rodney. I was like, bro, I blame his woman, man. She has been like, what's the word? Emasculating him. Now there's going to be all these like women of power, like, no, blah, blah, blah. She's got to speak her truth and do all this shit. Bro, everybody's got to live their truth. I get it. But she is doing it publicly at the detriment to her own man. You know, and I don't know them personally, and I don't care, but I know people like them, but in real life who aren't famous, who literally sit there like in all the judgment of whatever of other people, talking about like they're trying to, you know, just give their opinion like they matter so much, and they themselves, you know, come to find out that they're just like hypocrites. It's like crazy. You know what it's like to me? It's like, you know, you see somebody on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever. Probably more on Facebook and then on Instagram. Twitter is just like a place people spit things, you know, and not always with people that you know. So it's always with women that I see women posturing like, yeah, I'm single, I'm working on me, I'm blah, 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 new year, new me, this, that, men ain't shit, and I deserve better, and all this other stuff. Not like there's no accountability. There's no like, hey, look, I just, you know, I'm working on myself because there's things that I need to fix with me before I grab somebody else. Like, no, there's no that level of honesty. It's always just like pointing fingers. It's always like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You know, to get like a, you know, all this false sense of support and it's always like all these other women who don't know any of the stories except for the fact that they're just women who lend all the support. And they're like, yeah, fuck that guy, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, like, listen, man, you don't have to throw shots at somebody else for you to support your friend. You never had like a friend or two friends break up or whatever, and then you just stay cool with the both of them? Like, that's not in your fucking thing? Like, what kind of person are you? It's like, hey, man, look, this person did this person did that. You know, nobody knows the whole truth of anybody's relationship. So Jada's out here with her red table talk, and she's like, you know, like all of a sudden she's like some brilliant fucking psychotherapist that got to give her advice, not her experience, but her advice on everybody's shit. And it's always with like this sense of entitlement. I'm like, yo, how much of a bubble do you live in? And I'm saying this because I don't watch her show. I've only seen clips of it peripherally, so I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of not knowing the whole story, and that's okay. So, but she's there, and then come to find out, right? She dipped off with August, right? Now, August, I like him a lot. The music that he put out, I'm sad that he doesn't put out anymore. You know, who's the other guy that I liked? I like August, and I like Kirk O'Bangs. Kirk O'Bangs was good, man. That kid was good. So August, young hot boy, apparently she like ropes him in. You know, she's an authority on mental wellness and abuse, substance abuse or whatever. And then all of a sudden she starts fucking around with him. And meanwhile, the guy's like in his early 20s or whatever. However, she's in her 40s and whatever, and married. Now people are going to be like, oh, well, it's an open marriage and it's this and that and whatever. Okay. Listen, more justification. You know what? It's like a rationale. My first sponsor, Andy, he was the man. He was. He used to say rationale is an excuse stuffed with a lie. That's all that is. So this guy, like, you know, she's counseling him, allegedly counseling him, and then just slides over them and has this whole like affair with him. Meanwhile, if the roles were reversed and it was a man doing that with a young girl, people would be up in arms. They'd be like, oh my God, Will, you're such a fucking douchebag. You're an animal. How dare you take advantage of this girl? You're in a position of power. Like Jada wasn't in a position of power. That's what people are saying. That they give her a pass on that she wasn't in a position of power. And then August comes out, right? And he sprays the whole corner with it. Good for him. Because he's probably like, yo, I'm sick and tired of this woman walking around here like she walks on water, and she fucking doesn't. And on top of that, all the other Tupac shit, right? Crazy. It's crazy. Like her daughter writing a letter to Tupac, please come back. You never even met the man. So crazy. You know, so I don't know why, you know, who knows why this guy stayed, but he freaking stayed. He freaking stayed with her, bro. With all this shit going on. Famous or not. It's a lot. But I guess it's whatever. Who knows whatever he was doing? I don't know. I'm not saying I know. But I'm saying that we know what she been doing. So then she goes on her show and she just like embarrasses him. She can't even own her own shit on the fucking... You know what I'm saying? Like she can't even be like, listen... I had an affair with this guy. She had to say entanglement. She had to all this other thing, like the desperation of holding on to these, like what are these like personas? Like, why can't you just be honest? If you're over here telling other people that they need to be honest, and you out here, you can't even say the word affair, or you can't even say, listen, I crossed the line, and this kid came to me with this, and I had these feelings, and I couldn't stop, and I fucked everything up. Will is out there crying. Bro, my man is crying. And we are like, yo, Will, we with you. We are with you, bro. No, nobody deserves that. If the tables was reversed, I would say the same thing. Like that's how we say to like, who is it? Like Mary J. Blige. Like Mary J., we are with you. We are freaking with you. You're a good person. You're doing this stuff. And then your husband slides off with this freaking bird. We are with you because that ain't right. Now, Wendy Williams, hey, look, you get what you deserve because you're out here throwing dirt on people's names. And then when your husband does whatever he does, like, listen, you play in the dirt, you get dirty. But Will don't really play in the dirt that we know of. He doesn't. So sad, man. It made me hate her even more because to me that's like abuse, like emotional abuse. I don't know what kind of financial entanglements, quote unquote, that they have, but bro, like that was crazy. That was crazy. You know, so all of that's going on and everybody's dogging Jada. And then now, look, I guess she's so stressed out because, you know, she's finding out how human she is because everybody's flaming her as they should be. And then she gets this alopecia, which I didn't even know she had until after Will slapped Chris, right? I don't even know that. She gets this alopecia. Maybe it's stress-induced, maybe it's not. But Chris don't know. He gets up there, he tells a joke off the cuff, and then people are starting to reach back. Oh, but in 2016, he said this and he said that. I'm like, dude, I remember when she boycotted the Oscars. It's the same thing. She's over there boycotting the Oscars because there's not enough, because you didn't nominate Will, right? So since you didn't nominate Will, you didn't nominate any black people, and she needs to stand on that hill, which if that's your stance, that's okay, you know? But if now all of a sudden that he's nominated, now you coming back? Is that what you're saying? Now you're coming back because it's really just about you, very self-serving. You know, I think she's got like evil spirit, man. She needs a lot of help. And what I became a fan of Will is Will became like this he reinvented himself into like this super motivational, positive thing. And I use some of his energy for that. That's how I use some of these celebrities, like their energy or whatever for positive stuff. There's only a few, but like, you know, that's what I do. Motivational things here and there, but not like, you know, because they're playing freaking make-believe. So now all this stuff has been going on for 2 years, right? Entanglements, and like she became, it's almost like, yo, like when Nas dropped Ether. It's the same thing. Ether became its own planet. It just did. and entanglement became its own planet. And we'll probably have to hear about that forever. And then what happens? Chris gets up there. He says one joke about her hair, allegedly, not knowing that she has alopecia. I'm going to take his word for it because he seems to be a very honest guy. And that's the thing that I love about comedians and not actors. Is that comedians, they get up on stage, the really, really good ones, they go up there and they tell their own story. They tell their own stuff. Actors, they're just playing make-believe. And they're in such a space that they believe it. They believe like, yeah, they're in La La Land. Was that the name of that movie that I never saw, La La Land? Is that what it's about? I don't know. But, yeah, so he gets up there. And what does he do? Says a joke. Will is laughing. Jada's not laughing. Right? So then Will got to get up there. And maybe, I don't know, I didn't read his book. And he says, oh, he's been, he's been abused by the super liberal Hollywood place, right? And for some reason, all these wokey lefties believe that it's only liberal white men that are doing any abusing in Hollywood. Like, there's no women anywhere that are doing that, which is crazy. Because that's not the case. There were plenty of women standing up and clapping for Roman Polanski for the fucking pianist. Nobody gave them any shit. Because all those people are animals. They're just out for themselves. They're out for the fame and for the glory. They're standing in front of the camera. They don't even write any of their own words. The writers and all the people who put the stories together really deserve all of the accolades. But since they don't look that way, they're not pretty enough, they don't get any of the glory, which is ridiculous. So anyway, so Will gets up there, and what does he do? He goes and he slaps up Chris. Bro, it broke my heart right away. Right away, it broke my heart. I was like, oh my God, man. It still breaks my heart when I can't even keep watching the video of it. What's astonishing to me is that it's what I was telling Rodney. I was like, yo, bro, number one, there's no way. And I told you guys maybe a couple weeks ago that I got into like a little bit of a road rage thing. And my girl was like, you need to drive off now. Like she was making sure I wasn't getting out the car, making a fucking fool out of myself, fighting in the street. Meanwhile, his fucking girl, who is the seed of all of this fucking negativity, she doesn't do anything. She basically is like, she could have just been like, Will, stop. We'll handle it, whatever. Bro, my girl would never allow me to do that because she loves me. She would never allow that. She'd be like, what? She'd jump in front of me like, do not. She'd look at me the way a mom looks at her son. Do not touch that. Because she would have the foresight to know that I would just be making a bad situation worse. But Will, he snapped. And I have snapped before. And he just went up there and he slapped him. And this is how you can tell that it's all how fake this thing is or how divorced from reality he was. That he just slapped him and turned around and walked away like if Chris wasn't going to do nothing to him. Like how? Yeah, how do you even live like that in that life? Your ego's so crazy in that moment or not, I don't know. Like, dude, that you could just walk. It's bullying, obviously. Number one, Chris is a lot smaller guy than him. And Chris is not like he's not an action hero. He's not in shape in any way. The guy tells jokes. He's super duper funny. Probably one of the most thought-provoking comedians to ever live. And he's amazing. And his stock went way higher for this because you could tell, as soon as he slapped him, he clenched his fist for a second, and then he didn't do anything. And, bro, he was a champion that day. And Will slapped him and then just walked off like, dude, you got to be really, I don't know who you have to be able to put your hands on somebody and turn your back on them. You know? Like, that's like so crazy. Like, I would, you know, how do you know? He could have just grabbed the mic stand and cracked him with the mic stand. And then what? You know? And then what? And that's that. And then everybody go running console. How are you consoling Will? Like, yo, nobody, everyone says the same. Nobody going to check on Chris, right? Denzel, everybody else who's in that thing, they're going to check on Will. What are they going to say? Yo, Chris is fine. Is that what you're going to say? And then nobody else stood up for Chris. Like, and then it gets worse, right? Nobody's, if I was, you know, Amy Schumer, she came out there and she was like, what did I miss? And Puff, you know, trying to just, you know, Puff trying to be Puff, you know. And Puff is a fucking gangster, bro. He is. And Puff knows not to say anything about ever, you know, about this kind of stuff because he's notorious for that. Puff is notorious for, like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do anything. But when I see you, it's fucking on, you know. Remember when he slapped Drake in Miami? He slapped him in front of the club. I could see Drake reaching out for, like, oh, like a dap. Like, yo, Puff, blah, blah, blah. And Puff just slapped him in his fucking face. You know? He did. And then Drake was thinking about doing something, and Drake's security was like, nah, chill. And that's how Drake broke his arm. The security, I think, broke his arm, pulling him away. And Puff don't care. He got into that fight with J. Cole in the club. And now they're saying it wasn't over Kendrick. It was over something else. But, yeah, Puff is like, Puff is Puff, you know? So he's just trying to tell everyone to chill out, you know? Yeah. But to be able to hit somebody and walk off like nothing happened, that's pretty wild, bro. It's pretty wild. So, what's next, right? I'm over here playing cards, and I'm like, dude, you know, I feel bad for Chris. I have empathy for Will. He should definitely, there got to be some repercussions, all kind of shit. You know, and people are like, oh, now Will has to quit, and this. And then here comes all the wokeistan. Because here's the best thing that I saw. I'm going to read it, and I don't know if you guys agree or not, and it doesn't really matter to me, but where is this? I saw there was this one, there was this one like tweet or something that I saw that was very, okay. And this is like a little bit of irony. I'm going to read it. I did not tweet this. Who did this? I don't want to give him any love because I'm a little bit petty. Okay. Here's what it said. It said, a lot of celebs don't know how to respond because both actors are black. If Will Smith was white, Smith would be blacklisted. If Chris Rock was white, Smith would be celebrated even more. If both were white, it would be slightly more controversial than it currently is. Now let's break that down. This is how fake those people are. Because like they're sitting there, and the whole time all these publicists are everywhere because they can't even be their authentic self. Let's say that's Will. Will is, yo, you know what? I'm that guy that if you say shit about my wife, I'm gonna slap you up. Then that's who you are, you know. But then all the publicists come and they put out all the fires and whatever, but they have to be careful, right? Because now it's like because everybody gonna bring race into it. Race is on the way. Don't worry, race is on the way. Divisiveness or whatever you want to call it, it's on the way, right? So, you know, what if some white lady was like, yo, blah, blah, blah. You know, she would be even scared to say something because both people are black and they should be accused of being racist. You know who wasn't scared? Freaking Jim Carrey. He gave the best interview. He was like, yo, dude, it was disgraceful. I'm sad, and we're not the cool people anymore. And how does that happen without anything happening? And then they just they spin this whole narrative like, oh, well, Chris said he didn't want to press charges and this and that's bullshit. Listen, if I hit somebody in the street, whether somebody wants to press charges or not, there was a crime committed in public, And that was it. So that's funny that, they gotta bring that in. Now, if Will Smith was white, so imagine this, a white guy, right, going up and slapping a black comedian. The whole table would be flipped over. And only as like, what do you call it? As like a false signal? Is that what it is? Virtue. It's a virtue signaling situation where like they'll flip the whole table. No, how dare you? Blah, blah, blah. And then people will be like, yeah, I told you we don't belong in that table anyway. We should build our own table and whatever. And it would be all bullshit. It would be all bullshit because like, if white people in Hollywood, not white people on earth, there's a big difference. If white people in Hollywood really were not animals and didn't and had respect for people of color, you know what I'm saying? But they don't. They don't. None of the actors do. None of them. It's all just fake madness. So that way they could sell more tickets and make more money. But that's what would happen. Everybody would be up in arms. What's the next part of the statement? If Chris Rock was white, if Chris Rock was white and Smith obviously was black, then they would be celebrated even more. Because then the fake woke people would be like, that's right. We're sick of white people talking shit about black people, and now you went too far. You don't joke about a black woman's hair and all these other things. Right? And it would be like empowering. It would be like an empowering thing. And it would be like, who can we say that about? I don't even know. Oh, it'd be like, when those guys, I'm sorry, I forget everybody's names, but when they won the Olympics, and then they raised the black fist in Nazi Germany, whatever. Like, that was, like, so powerful. That's what that would be, right? It would be the same thing. And if both were white, it would be slightly more controversial than it currently is. Yeah, maybe, in a different way. In a different way. Now, the old white people or whomever, I don't know who runs the academy. It's definitely not all men. There's definitely a lot of women in there. And if the women are too scared to be there because they're saying that their voice doesn't matter, then they should get up and fucking leave. That's what they should do. Like, I don't think it's fair that women who work in, let's say, male-dominated fields, let's say like construction, or in the military, right? There's women in the military or women police officers, right? Bro, the stories that they tell are fucking crazy. The amount of sexual assault that happens in the military is fucking crazy, right? Nobody bats an eye there. But, all of a sudden in Hollywood where they're making millions of dollars, then I guess they're like, hey, yeah, I'm going to sign, because they're all trying to be famous. They're trying to find something. They're trying to be somebody. So, yeah, it was a beta moment and a beta move. And I know because I've been that beta. I have been that beta. I talked to you guys maybe a few months ago about the time 3 years ago when I threatened my dad in a freaking steakhouse at my girl's 40th birthday. I made a fucking fool, and I was coming close to grabbing him. I was losing control. And I ruined the whole thing by that. So there's that. And he was disrespecting. He was disrespecting my woman. He was disrespecting my family. And he was a fucking guest. He wasn't paying nothing. I was paying. big deal Wagyu steakhouse, whatever, which was definitely overrated. And if I remember the name, I'll tell you to not go there. But either way, yeah, so, dude, I just think that, he was a human being. This is his first time that we've seen that kind of behavior from him. And it's sad. It's a cry for help. It's like, dude, it's like basically that slap was like, the culmination of a lot of other things. That shit doesn't come out of nowhere. It doesn't fall out of the sky. It just doesn't, Just like, my girl beefing with me about something, that doesn't fall out of the sky. I've been probably doing things unknowingly for however long. And I say one thing and then it all comes down. I'm like, hey, maybe she just needs to, let some of the air out of the bag, and that's okay too. I'd take my licking. Listen, look, I get way more of the good stuff than I do the bad stuff, so I shouldn't be complaining on any level. At all. Hold on, let me grab a drink because I'm like talking crazy. Hang on. Okay, we're back. And thank you for your patience if you're still here. You hear that sound? Liquid death. Yeah, baby. If somebody ever sends this to them and they ever want to become a sponsor, that'd be incredible because I buy so much of this stuff. Liquid Death Sparkling Mountain. No, this one's not the sparkling one. It's a white can. Of course, it's white. Don't get offended. Yeah, white can has no sparkles. Black can has sparkles. That's kind of how it is in real life, right? Like white people, we got no flavor. Black people got all the fucking flavor, bro. All of it. So, yeah. So just as we're reeling from that, right? Everybody's picking sides, I'm Will and Chris against Jada. That's my side. That girl needs to go, Either that or she just needs to sit down and shut the fuck up about all of her self-righteousness, And her kid went on Twitter, whatever their name is. What's his name? I don't know. The Icon Living is whatever. It's all fiction. He's like, that's how we do. Like, you stupid. Let me tell you something that maybe nobody's told you. That your dad is freaking lucky it wasn't Terry Crews up there making that joke. Somebody jacked like that. Somebody who would have just fucking slapped him up. They would never let somebody like Rogan do that. But like Rogan would have never, it wouldn't have even happened. He would have been like, hey, Chris was like, Chris is, he's not that guy. He's just not. Or maybe what if it was Paul, anybody with any, they don't let gangsters host the Oscars, which is okay. So then what happens, right? As a week goes by, what do we get? We get the return. Louis C.K. wins the Grammy. And that's also an award show that I don't watch any of this stuff, any of the award shows. I don't. But I got to say, like, I'm enjoying watching people lose their minds on Louis C.K. winning a Grammy. Like, how could you expect anything else? He did what he did. I don't even know what he did. They're going to be like, because I know that this is what I know. And maybe I'm all the way wrong. And if I am, and this triggers you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, I know that apparently, he jerked off in front of some people, whipped it out, and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Whatever. And I don't know. They felt what do you say? I'm not going to say offended. That's not the right. I'm offended a little bit that he whipped it out. Yeah, of course. But, when I think about him physically doing it, I think it's fucking funny to see a fat, white, ginger man pull out his little penis and just start, going at it. As a woman, it must be like very freaky to see that happen. Like, it's almost like when you see a guy jerking off on the train. You're like, is this guy really fucking doing that? But for women, it's probably very traumatic or whatever. But he did that, bro. And he still got the Grammy. And then people are losing their freaking mind. Like, oh, and then they turn it into a thing about between Louis and Will, right? That's like, oh, everybody wants to cancel Will for going up and slapping. Now Will is defending his wife, right? As soon as somebody else comes and there's another thing. It's like, no, bro. This guy got the Grammy because the Grammys gave him a pass. They got over it. They got over it, bro. That's why he got it. He didn't do it on national TV where everyone can listen and watch him. He just did it, and he admitted to it. And they canceled him. And then he put his, allegedly they canceled him temporarily. So now here's the thing. And this is the truth. What are we really learning? Are we really learning that what are we really learning that they are forgiving? Which is maybe something to be admired, even though, are they forgiving because they're human? Maybe. And I'm thinking this through as I'm speaking right now. Because they just let it slide. They were just like, dude, you spent your time in timeout. Now you get to come back and do A, B, C, X, Y, Z, right? So I think the same thing is going to happen to Will. He's going to have to get a timeout. And then they're going to allow him to come back. But nobody's going to, no. So far, there's very few people who are going to hold Will to his thing. Because now we have something else to distract us by, which is that, Louis C.K. wins a Grammy after, years ago he jerked off in front of people. I don't know if that's considered sexual assault. I don't know the whole story, but I know that that's how stories grow. Like, yeah, what if he did? What if he was in a hotel? Let's say this, he's in a hotel room. He's like, look, I'm going to pull out my dick and jerk off. Is that okay? And the girl says, and then she don't run away. She stays there, and then he does it. Is that an assault? I don't know. She could have left at any time. Whether he wasn't barring her from leaving. But I know that that's the shit that I seen on the dumpster fire of Twitter, which is like, he assaulted this girl. And he did that. And if he did, then he fucking did. If he did, then he did. But guess what? He put out his own shit on his own. And they nominated him. He's got his own website. He's got his own stuff, similar to my boy, Alex Jones. He had InfoWars and he had all this other shit. And Alex Jones is like, he's nuts. He's nuts. And he just is. And that's the thing, So he did it, self-made, and he wins a fucking Grammy. And everyone's like, oh, my God, you guys want to cancel Will for defending his wife? But this guy who's now, it's turned into now he's like a rapist. That's what, it grows from him jerking off with somebody on the phone to, doing it in a hotel room, to him assaulting somebody, to him raping somebody. Eventually, they're going to say he's a murderer. That's like, because that's how it goes. So Will just defended his wife. They won't even say, like, you're mad at Will for defending his wife. No, how about you just be honest and say, dude, we're mad at Will for slapping Chris, who didn't deserve to get slapped. That's not defending your wife. This is what I was talking about with Rodney. Bro, I've been out, not recently, but back in the day, I've been out with a woman and I saw they were like gay guys talking shit. Because they do too. They're human beings. But they're flamboyantly gay. And they say some shit like, look at her shoes, blah, blah, blah. Say something like that. What the fuck kind of shoes does she have on? 3 o'clock in the morning, coming out of wherever. Wherever we used to hang out. China Club, rooftop over there. That was incredible. Envy, Club Envy. Any of these things where like, whatever. And dude, even in a drunken heroin haze, cocaine, whiskey filled moment, right? I know, dude, I go and I start punching out gay people, even though they deserve it, I'm all the way going to lose. Because the guy's a fucking beta. And that's why he's running his mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's why he's running his mouth, because he's a beta. And I'm not saying Chris was a beta, but what I'm saying is that, like, there's no way to justify what Will did. So now that Louis is on the fucking chopping block, and then it turns into Lil Nas X didn't win any Grammys, but Louis C.K. did. America, go to your room and think about what you've done. Yes. Think about it. Think about who's giving you these awards. Think about, do they matter? Think about, are they valid? Right? What did I say? Roman Polanski got a standing ovation. Right? All of that stuff. What's this guy? Steven Tyler. Oh my God, bro, Steven Tyler, what did he adopted this girl who was underage so she can go on tour with him and he can do what he pleased with her. And that guy's got multiple Grammys and he's been a host on television shows. Nobody says a thing. Nobody. They don't say anything. The lives that these people live are crazy. Everybody's in there just ball washing them. Nobody says no to them. Will went up on stage and put his hands on somebody and walked away like he ain't gonna do nothing because of who I am. Like, dude, he's so lucky. Like I said, imagine Chris grabs the mic stand or whatever, or just runs up and cracks him with the mic. Then security going to jump on Chris like he did something wrong. They're going to be like, why didn't you let's see you hold your composure when somebody slaps you in the face. It's not an easy thing. I don't even know Louis' did I even watch this? But maybe it's like during the pandemic. During the pandemic, he put out something on his website, and I watched it. I can't remember if it was funny or not. But I remember I did, and I think I enjoyed it. I don't know. I don't love him. That's the thing. I never really liked him. So it's like whatever for me. But look, hey, Chris Brown, he also got a Grammy too after beating the shit out of Rihanna. Beat her ass. Michael Jackson, right? Playing with little boy booty holes. Little cancer booty holes. Little white cancer booty holes. Is that what you want to, however you want to say it? Yeah, man, he did that. And, yeah, he still got all the awards. So I'm saying that to say this. That, I don't know. Do you really want to be them? Is that who we want to be? Like all the riches, all of the money, but then you can't be yourself. And then there's a pressure cooker that's like, no, you got to, and it's all for the bread and the notoriety. That's all that it's for. I always go after people who go after Rogan, right? Who don't listen to any of his shows, but they hear those snippets. Same people who fucking go after Bernie Sanders, who I love. Uncle Bernie, right? They all go after him. They hear like one or two snippets. Oh, he sounds like a crazy old man. Yeah, because you let him talk for 10 seconds at a time. Meanwhile, Rogan had him on for a whole hour. And you're like, oh, this guy's like a cognizant human being. While Joe Biden, President Biden, dude, that guy's got one foot in the grave, the other on a banana peel. And now, all of a sudden, the fucking laptop is real. Now it's real, right? They're doing a whole investigation. Now it's real. You know? So they're between the government and the Hollywood and all of these things, they're just feeding you all of this shit. And it's just, blech. Blech. That's what it is. And the truth is, like, bro, I get so much inspiration from all of you, regular folks, people that I interview, that come on my show, our show, regular, real. You can be the here. Like, what is? All right, you're gonna get mad that Rogan. I'm gonna say Rogan's name again. Yeah, he always said you can be your own hero of your own movie. You can do that. We don't need these people. It's not worth. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know consciously if I would be able to do that. You know, I listened to King and the Sting. Incredible. Now it's King Sting in the Wing, right? Because now they have, it's Theo Vaughn, Brendan Schaub, whatever, and Chris D'Elia. Chris, what was he doing? He was DMing girls and whatever. He was living his rock star life and all this other shit, you know? And people couldn't wait to just pull the plug on him, but now he's back. Guess what? Right? So, but they're like, oh, we're going on Patreon where you got to pay. And people are getting so mad. It's like $6 a month. You get 4 episodes or something. I'm like, dude, I would rather do that, because then the advertisers are like, oh, well, you can't talk about this. You can't say that. You can't. Like, it's not worth the money that I can't be myself. It's not. It's not. It must be such a hell to live like that. Like, okay, finally, you're getting recognition for your creativity, for all of these things, and they're going to pay you. And you're like, wow, I'm going to make some money. Yeah, we're going to pay you, but you got to, now you work for us. And you're like, Jesus, bro. Who the fuck wants to work for somebody else like that? The guys that work with us that are part of our company, the amount of liberty they have, it's crazy. I want them to be themselves. You know? I want all of us to be ourselves. And there's so much magic going on. You know? And life is so short. And it's so daunting to find that comfort where you can just be like, dude, you know what? I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to bend. I'm not going to bend, you know? Then I'm just going to be like, dude, I just need to be who I am, you know? Because none of it really matters at the end, you know? Yeah. I want to say that because also, you know, to really drive home that none of these people will matter when we're in the ground. It doesn't. Why am I wasting my own time adoring action heroes or whatever? I watch like I don't watch a lot of movies. I watch movies that are like, you know, I watch movies that my kids want to watch just so I can spend time with them. I watch a lot of documentaries. I'm inspired by true life shit. I'm inspired, oddly enough, by some films that are really well written and all that. Like I said, the writers and all the people who are behind the scenes, they're the real heroes, man. They don't even get all the money because they're not like the salespeople. They don't even get all the bread. They make a lot of bread, though. I have a bunch of them that are clients, and they're not starving. But You know, you can be your own hero. You don't need any of these fake motherfuckers trying to push their values that they don't even hold to. The value should be honesty, humility, love. Those are the values, not anything else. You know, when I see all this, oh my God, bro, the unreasonable demands that are put on like these young girls with the Instagram shit and these fucking fake butts, and fake boobs, and all this other stuff. It's ridiculous. You know, it's ridiculous. I can't remember. I was saying that when I was in Florida, my cousin, and I love her. It's not that I don't love her, but she's so used to it. Bro, she tried to take a selfie with me, and she had the filter on. I looked like I had paste all over my face. I was like, bro, I didn't even like that. I was like, why do you have this filter on? I look fucking crazy. This is myself. This is who I am. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed about that on any level. You know, I'm like, no, this is who I am. You know, I'm not saying I'm not. Of course, as a human, I get a little bit embarrassed, a little bit ashamed, but not to the point that I want to be like somebody else. Hopefully we're growing out of that. You know, I was listening to This American Life today because it's Monday, and it's one of my favorite podcasts. I always say that, you know, Lex Friedman, Jocko. You got to listen to Jocko's. Oh, my God, the Jocko Willing podcast. Jeez. It's incredible. Anyway, so This American Life. And there was this guy. He had a job. His job was to, what they call him, the coffin confessional or something. So before you die, you call him. He comes, and then you give him like your confessional or whatever. Or you give him your last statement that he's going to read at your funeral. So you get to, because then you'll be gone when he reads it, and everybody's going to have to live with your truth. Maybe shit that you didn't want to say or whatever, or you couldn't say. So one of them, and it was great. Oh my God, this guy's story is awesome. And I know I'm going to ruin it for maybe some of you, but who cares? You guys don't listen to that super liberal, lefty, hippie shit like me, because I do. I listen to all of it. Anyway, so one of them, the guy was like, look, says, my brother's going to give my eulogy, and I need you to get up in the middle and read this. So the guy's like, all right. And he's up there, and he's sweating bullets. He's like, oh, I got to wait 2-3 minutes into the eulogy. Got up. He's like, bro, excuse me. You know, my name is whatever his name is, Frankfurter. Forgot his friggin' name. And this is a statement coming from the deceased, you know, and then whatever. He starts reading it, and he's like, look, you know, my brother's giving my eulogy, and you can fuck off. Because while I was laying there in the hospital, I saw you try to get him, you know, trying to make moves on my wife. And my wife is a beautiful human being, and she's everything to me, and good for her and her virtues, because she turned you down 3 or 4 times that I saw. You know, I was like, so get the fuck out of here. I was like, oh my God. He's like saying this shit, and everyone's like, whoa, blah, 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 blah. And then he said, if my other brother's there, you can fuck off too. You and your daughter, I haven't seen you in 30 years, but now you show up here to pay what kind of respects? Who were you to me when I was alive? Wow. And everybody, and then they leave and whatever. And then there was another one where like this biker guy basically came out as bisexual at his funeral, you know? And that was fucking crazy. You know, that was crazy. So I'm saying that to be like, well, who do you want to, you know, you want to live your life holding on to those kinds of things, you know, or whatever, you know, just not being human. Like, I don't know, man. It's so crazy. It's so freeing to watch all of this stuff. And maybe that's what my motivation is, to be more of who I am, is because of that, you know? And, yeah. And I want to say that, you know, I end this on like a little bit of I wouldn't say a sad note, but a real life note. That my homegirl that I grew up with, and I love everybody, just so you know. I say it all the time, like, my social media platforms are there for, you know, mental jousting, You know, we go back and forth and blah, blah, blah. But nobody hates anybody. I don't allow people to hate people on any of my pages or any of that shit. No negativity, no judgment, that kind of stuff. And to be connected to all of my people that I grew up with. You know, people like Brandy and some of the other heads that have come on this show and who will come on this show. And, yeah. And this other stuff, you know, 2 weeks ago, I think my boy Pete, remember my boy Pete passed away, and I mentioned that. And we lost somebody else. Somebody I went to grade school with who left a lasting positive impression on me. Her name was Natalie Frederick. She was in my my grade, you know, and she was awesome. You know, she was awesome. And apparently she passed away from like whatever, one of those like embolisms or something, like whatever medical condition. She was living in Europe, living her best life, you know, living her best life. So I want to say R.I.P. to her. I got the news from Joanna, who sent it out to me, and then they had some kind of, I don't know, they had a funeral or whatever, and, you know, I couldn't make it. I had other stuff to do. It would have been nice just to pay respect, like, listen, this is somebody who, you know, beautiful black woman, smart, intelligent. Oh my God, dude, she was so smart, this girl. Even in like grade school, she was brilliant. She was witty. You know, she was fashionable. She was mad tall. You know, she was taller than the rest of us, but she was awesome. So I'm just gonna read this thing, and if you it's like, I don't know, a paragraph or something long or whatever. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but just a little snippet of it out of respect for her. And if you turn this off, you're a piece of shit. Use this as a test to see if you could withstand 1 or 2 minutes of hearing about somebody that you didn't know, but somebody that I admired. So it says, a tribute to Natalie. Natalie was born October 3rd, 1978. Yeah. To Immaculate Frederick in Suffolk, New York. She went on to enjoy a happy, wonder-filled childhood in Spring Valley, New York. Whoop, whoop. That's from 10977, boy. Her hometown, which is so proudly represented and fondly remembered. She did, yeah. As she enjoyed her formative years there, her mother enrolled her in piano and ballet lessons, the former being her springboard into music industry later in her life. It was during her childhood and adolescence that Natalie realized and developed her sophistication, deep appreciation for language, and feminine elegance, qualities that those around her recognized and recalled, creating a lasting impression. Exactly what I was just telling you. This girl she was a warrior, man, and I love her for that. From there, Natalie graduated from Spring Valley High School in 1997 and embarked on her undergraduate studies at the American University of Paris. Stick around. Natalie enjoyed wonderful experiences there, made friends, enhanced her cosmopolitan appeal, and traveled. She visited Rome, Italy, as well as Dakar and Senegal. In 2002, she obtained her BA with a double major in International Affairs and Comparative Literature. Spring Valley, stand up, all right? Stand up, this is one of our own. After the completion of her undergraduate studies at AUP, she started her career at UNESCO in Paris, where she lived for the rest of her life. She lived in fucking Paris. In Paris. That's impressive for people like me where I'm from. That you go out there and you do something on this earth and you live somewhere and you make something of yourself. I mean, whatever. I went to Brooklyn. She went to Paris. It's not the same. But I admire her for that, and I hope she's listening. I'm sure she is. She went on to work with the Office of the Association of Development of Education in Africa, where she contributed to the organization of international seminars and high-level meetings with Ministry of Education officials. In 2003, Natalie joined the IIEP training and education programs teams as an administrative assistant. Throughout her 19 years With the training team, she occupied many key roles, including marketing campaigns, selection and recruitment processes, assessment and certifications related to IIEP's flagship training programs, namely the specialized courses, and more recently, to the education sector planning course. Natalie was a trusted, committed, and valued contributor to her colleagues and institution as a whole. All right, I lied. I'm going to keep reading. Natalie is a loving, caring, devoted, and fun daughter to Immaculata and sister to Sabine. As far as her relationship to her mother, she was always the voice of reason, a mediator, and an honest daughter to her mother. To Sabine, she was a wise older sister who had tremendous worldly knowledge and understanding with which to guide a younger one on the way. Natalie was very generous and hospitable to her family. Immaculata and Sabine would visit Natalie in Paris regularly, and from there they visited different parts of Europe. Natalie took her mother to Santorini and Mykonos in Greece, to Florence, Italy, Barcelona, Spain. Natalie took Sabine to Rome, Barcelona, and all over Paris. As a family unit, they visited Nice and Monte Carlo, Monaco, as well as many other beautiful locales in the French Riviera, such as Biarritz and Marseille. Traveling with her family was important to Natalie. The last and perhaps best family vacation they took were 2 excursions to St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, and Martha's Vineyard in 2019. As previously mentioned, Natalie had outstanding musical talent, which allowed her to create a band, the Virgin Marys, who performed at the Cannes Music Festival in 2015. Natalie played the guitar, the sitar, and ukulele. Her musical gift, culture, world knowledge, and language was utterly genius and remains an important benchmark for Sabine. Last paragraph. Natalie will be remembered by all who had the pleasure to meet and spend time with her. Immaculata and Sabine, while deeply saddened at her, happily recall the good times and thank the Heavenly Father for providing the opportunity to enjoy such wonderful and beautiful moments together as a family. We love you, Natalie. It's powerful stuff. That is an inspiring life. All right, guys. Have a great day. We love you all. Be that inspiration. What are they going to say about you when you check out? Maybe you want the casket confession guy to read your last statement. Mine is probably going to be like, I told you so. All right. I love you all. R.I.P. Natalie. You're in my heart. Peace. Okay, everybody, we'd like to thank you for joining us on The Spiritual Experience. Please don't forget to like and subscribe on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, Pandora, everywhere. And please find us on Facebook, where you can become part of our family. We'll see you around.